As we saw yesterday, we all have the capacity for backsliding. A verse that has come to mean a lot to me over the years comes from 1 Corinthians 10 verse 12, where Paul said this to the Christians he was caring for: if you think you're standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. Be careful of thinking that you're too good to backslide, thinking I'm good, I'm fine, I'm strong, I'll never move backward. Can I remind you of one who said something similar? His name was Peter, a dedicated, fierce follower of Christ. When Jesus said jump, Peter would say, how high? But when Jesus spoke about being betrayed and killed, we read this in Mark's Gospel. Peter declared, even if all fall away, I will not. Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I'll never disown you. And all the others said the same. Mark 14:29-31. Me a backslider, said Peter, just hours before the most infamous backslide of all. He insisted emphatically that he would never backslide, but so proud was he of his own commitment that he ended up doing the very thing he said he wouldn't. If Peter, who walked next to Jesus as his right-hand man, could backslide, don't think you're above it. Can I remind you of another famous backslider? His name was Saul, a tall and handsome man. They made him the first king of Israel. He was anointed and called and approved by God himself. But slowly he began to turn from God. First he disobeyed God's command about not taking plunder after a battle. Then he set up a memorial in his own honor instead of God's. Then he became jealous of the new young man, David. Before long, Saul was completely off the rails. Murdering and pillaging, he ruined his life by continuing to backslide bit by bit until he died a tragic death, alienated from God, a shadow of his former self. If an anointed king of Israel could backslide, don't think you're above it. One last example. David, the man who followed Saul as king, was the greatest king of Israel. A man after God's own heart, the Bible says, so dedicated to God, so committed. But after many years of faithfulness, he took his foot off the pedal. He started to relax in his faith and in his role as a spiritual leader. And before long, he was backsliding, caught up in an adulterous relationship, a murderous plot, and a cover-up, blind to his sin until a trusted friend pointed it out. If King David, a man after God's own heart, could backslide, don't think you're above it. Friends, we all have the capacity to backslide. If you're listening today thinking you're standing firm, be careful.